I would like to tell you how me and Mr. Beyer met. Mr. Beyer came from Minnesota, served his country during World War II, became a teacher, and became a teacher at Fremont School. I came from McFarland, born in a farm in McFarland. Came when I was 4 years old, ended up in his class. But this is how I ended up in his class. During World War II, my family and other families migrated to the San Jose Gilroy area to harvest the crop. And usually, I was always late, 1, 2, 3 weeks late to start school. This particular year, Fremont 8th grade was already filled. Mrs. King was already filled, so I had no place to go. So they made a 7th and 8th grade room, and that's where me and about 3 other 8th graders ended up being Mr. Beyer's first 8th grade students, and I'm one of them. How many of you kids know where Amigo Market is at? Amigo Market? Okay. Did you know that's a historical building? That building used to be in the old Fremont School across Ellington Street. They moved it up to 7th Avenue, and they made a grocery store out of it. That's where I served as a manager and co-owner. So that building is almost 100 years old. Think about it. I would like to take this time now to introduce some of Mr. Beyer's marble champion. Unfortunately, one of them is not here. 2 of them are not here. One of them was Robert Zuniga. He's a contractor. He wouldn't be able to be here. But Robert Zuniga won the district, went to the state, won the state, went to the national, became 5th in the nation. Another one, Memo Diaz, won the district, went to the state, went to the national, and won the national. I have in the audience somebody from Fresno, very close to me. This kid won the district, went to the state, won the national. And I lost track of him for many years. I knew his parents very well. Well, about 5 years ago, I met him again. I found out that the money that we raised for his scholarship ended up being I wanted to have big, no. Tony, what were you? School. Architecture. An architect. And I also found out that he served his country in Vietnam. So I would like to introduce our national champion and our war hero, Tony. Thank you, everybody. And to Mr. Beyer's family, I want you to know it was an honor and a privilege for me to be one of his first 8th grade students. Thank you.
Tony, it's good to see you here, sir. See, there's a marble champ, right? Other special guests also. 3 teachers that, former teachers, of course, they're retired as well, but they serve with Mr. Stan Beyer. And I'm going to ask them to come forward and make some comments. Mona, first side, this, Mrs.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes!
Oh, wonderful. I'm so happy to be here to celebrate the memory and the life of Stan Beyer. I came to Delano in 1958 after teaching in Portugal for 4 years. And one of the first people that I met, of course, was Stan Beyer. I used to teach in that corridor, which has room 9 on it, and I was talking to a couple of little gals standing in the front handing out flyers for programs, and they said, I'm a teacher at heart, you know, I'll interact with the kids. Anyway, they said, oh, they remembered room 9, and we had a little chat. We also had an upper lounge that we called the teachers' lounge. And we had a primary lounge, which was the lower lounge. Teachers, when the kids were out at recess, always congregated at one or the other of the teachers' lounges. And we would chit-chat about whatever was concerning us on that particular day. Or whatever. We, at times, had maybe student behavioral problems, but we worked them out. Sometimes older teachers, the teachers with more experience, would give the younger teachers, of which I was one, advice on how to handle student behavior. At other times, there were concerns that the teachers as a whole had regarding either student behavior or perhaps other issues having to do with the classroom. And at those times, we knew that we could always count on Stan to help us out. During our little chit-chats in the teacher's lounge, we would discuss the concerns that we had, and Stan would sit there and listen, and he might ask a question or two. And if we could handle the problem or the concern within our, between ourselves among the teachers, we would do that. But there were times when it was a problem or concern, whether it was about the kids, the students, or the staff, and perhaps we needed a little bit more help. So Stan would sit there, and then he'd kind of nod his head, and then he would say, okay, I'll talk to Earl. Earl, of course, was our then principal. But he was an individual, Stan was, that could take our concerns or problems to the administration if we needed to have them conveyed to the administration. So Stan would walk up that corridor from his classroom, and by the end of that day, or shortly afterwards, the problem would be solved, or we would have a recommendation, or perhaps we'd have a meeting with the principal to discuss the problem with him and with the other staff members. But we could always count on Stan to be our spokesperson. So Stan was not only a teacher, a great teacher, and a friend and coach to students here at Fremont School, but he was also a friend, and he was a supporting of his colleagues here at Fremont School. So I want to thank all of you that came here today to celebrate Stan Beyer's life as a classroom teacher, and not only classroom teachers, but the community as well. I'm just very proud to be here and to be counted as a warrior. Yay, warriors! Again, thank you very, very much, and you have a beautiful, beautiful day.
We have two other, I would say, young men, they're still young, that were really worked very close to Mr. Beyer, also in the classroom, but also on the field, athletic field. Stu Collins and Mike Bush. Will you please both of you come forward?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's really a pleasure for me to be here and to be part of this recognition. It isn't often that people, teachers, whatever, be recognized for some of the really great things that they did. And Mr. Beyer certainly was one of the great ones. I started here in 1959 with Beyers had been here a while, and he was kind of my big brother. I learned more from him about teaching than I ever learned in college. And everything I learned from him I carried with me on my career through education, which is still kind of going. I'm a member of the County Board of Education, so I'm still involved in education after 52 years. But I can tell you that Stan Beyer was an outstanding man. I can also tell you that you never had to guess where he stood. He was very clear about the things that he stood for, and they were almost always admirable things. Some of you, well, all of you, I'm sure, at one time or another have run around that track out there. Okay, well, back in about 1960, Mr. Beyer helped me put that track in. We didn't have curbs around it or grass in the middle. We just had a trough that went around it. He did all the math and I did all the labor, which was probably appropriate at the time. But the curbing and all of that came later, and it was the Fremont students who would go out with me every day with brooms and sweep all of the dirt off the track so that you wouldn't slip when you would run. But there's been so many things. He was an outstanding coach, an outstanding. I don't know how many times I would go to him with, "Holy cow, Stan, what do I do?" And he would help me clear it up. I remember very distinctly. I don't know which quarter it is, but if you come from the next quarter over from the last, I was in the very last classroom, and I walked through the door, and as the door closed and hit me in the bottom, I thought to myself, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do now?" I looked at all you young students out there, but I have so many fond memories, and I can't begin to tell you how much it meant to me to be a warrior. And I guess, as Mrs. Forsythe just said, I'm still a warrior. So, congratulations to the Beyer family. Jerry, you've grown up a whole lot since the last time I've seen you. He would have been sitting on the floor with you guys the last time I saw him. But anyway, it's really wonderful that we're recognizing this man. Thank you very much.